Hello everybody and welcome to Adobe Live. My name is Flynn. We'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we are creating and streaming from today and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. I am delighted to be joined by the fantastic Kristy Campbell. Hi Kristy, how are you doing?
Hello Flynn, I'm good, thank you. I'm so excited to be here today.
This is awesome. So I've been following your work for a very long time. Very long time in social media terms, I suppose. I don't have TikTok, full disclosure. Johanna's noticed that there is an animated background today. I'm very excited. Yes, it did take me some time to get this together. That was the video update I did. I've been following for a long time, and then here you are. You popped up on Behance very recently. You've done some streams with fantastic Ryan Selvey, and I think you did a stream as well at the end of last year, which is super cool. And I really enjoyed watching them, and so I'm glad that we get to hang out with you too.
Oh no, epic. No, I love doing them. They're so much fun. It's awesome to share the work and share some tips to everyone. I hope people can join along and learn something.
And I'm sure those watching are following you, but if they're not, one of the main reasons I discovered you, and I'm sure you're getting a lot of love on the socials at the moment, is these really tight tutorials and tips on how to do a very specific task in some, a lot of the programs. Seen InDesign stuff in there and Photoshop and Illustrator, and like always, sometimes we're doing these streams and someone does something and I'm like, I've been working for Adobe for a while and I had no idea you could do that. And your feed is like a goldmine of that sort of thing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I love sharing all these tips, and I think I didn't even mean to start to produce that kind of content. I just thought one day it'd be really cool to share some short little tips and tricks, and then it turned into this way of showing my work as well, which is really cool. I feel like I've become quite well known for it, so it's a cool thing to do.
And I'm sure that cascades through to working with clients and kind of blowing up as the brand and Pink Pony Creative and all that sort of stuff. So I'm sure it feeds in really well to the running the business side of things too.
For sure. I think it's really interesting because at first doing tutorials, you kind of think that, oh, why would other people be interested who aren't designers? But then you kind of come across as an expert.
Yes.
Which, an expert in your field, you know how to do all these tips and tricks, and wow, they must know a lot. So it's a cool way to actually get clients without meaning to. Yeah.
It's like a off product. What was I going to say? Words fail me. Anyway, let's let's jump into it. If you're watching over on YouTube or anywhere else, the live chat hello, but also the live chat we're using is at Behance. So you jump over to behance.net/live. That's the chat that we'll be monitoring. We'll try to get it if you have questions over on YouTube or somewhere else, but we want you to be heard. If you have a question or if you want to say hi to Kristy, like Shakya. Hi Kristy, just finished your other live. That's awesome. So back to back, Kristy, that's great.
I love that. I'm here for you. Thank you for the support. I really appreciate it.
That's super cool. Let us know if you want to come and say hi, you have questions. We're here for an hour. Frank's in here as well. Johanna's looking after us with useful links and helping us out and noticing my animated background, which I'm very proud of. Misty's here as well. We'll get stuck into the stream now. So should we have a look at maybe a couple of bits of your work before we kind of jump into our kind of branding exploration today?
Yeah, sounds good. All right.
Let's check out your screen. Bringing that up now. So here we are on Behance.
Cool. So to show you guys a little bit of my work, if you haven't seen my stuff before, basically I'm a brand and graphic designer. I do all things from brand identities for businesses, small to large. So it might be a yoga studio to a bakery to online thrift stores. There's a whole lot of stuff that I've done for various clients, but I also do just general design, graphic design work. So I'll show you an example here. So this was even for a photographer in America. We created this really cool kind of abstract photography portfolio. This was actually one of my favorite pieces of work. I don't know if it's because it's pink, and I clearly love pink because I call my business Pink Pony. Yeah. But no, I love doing this. It was so edgy, and her photography was just beautiful as well. So it was really awesome to work with her on that too. So
I really love how the logo is kind of it's cut away there, but it almost has that offset effect kind of on it, and then that's also coming through in the editorial design, like it's a little bit offset, like a little bit of like the ink spilling over, which is that old school grungy look, but in like,
and that's exactly what she wanted.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which was really cool. I think even adding those like modern feminine colors brought that touch of like femininity to it, I guess.
Yeah.
No, it was such a fun project to work on. So that was definitely one for the books. I love doing that. I think I've posted it on my Instagram like seven times. And then even like this was also a project that sort of got me in front of a whole lot of new people. I think it sort of not went viral, but a lot of people did love it on social media. So it really helped me get new clients, and doing like all these really cool illustrations, making them into brand patterns. And then you can use those throughout your brand identity and things like social media, the marketing collateral. So this is a really fun one.
And do you do the illustrations as well? Like the little illustrations in the pattern? Is that something that you do?
Yeah, I sure do. So I create everything from the logo and custom draw all the illustrations. So I'll be showing a little bit about that today, which is really cool. Diving into it a little bit and sharing how I create those.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Super cool.
And you're even like this
and so like my final kind of question. Oh, actually, let's talk about this project first before I start saying silly things and changing the subject.
Oh, it's okay. No worries at all. This is another really cool project. This is for a podcast for a New Zealander, and she just wants something like really bright, fun, quite different to what you usually see within the podcast branding realm, I guess. And we create this really cool, once again, like these line icons to pair with her branding, so she can use them like throughout her collateral and social media and things, and just give it that really cohesive effect.
That's really nice.
Yeah, and even pairing it with like a nice typewriter style font. I thought it was very suitable for the financial side of the business, of the podcast.
Nice. Hey, same mic. Look at that.
Same mic. Twins. Love it.
It's the go-to mic.
Go-to. And even looking over on my Instagram, you can see these patterns coming in through again. This is actually something I did on my last live, so this turned out so well. I was really happy with it. Yeah,
I love the half tones
today.
Half tones coming in there. That's really cool.
Yeah,
love a bit of half tone.
They're a tricky one. Love the half tones. It's a really nice like added extra effect that you can get through them. Oh, very cool. And obviously pink again. It's become a common theme through my projects. I think naturally now that I create a lot of pink, clients come to me who would like pink in their branding. So it's pretty cool.
That's amazing. You can like corner the pink market over time.
I think I have.
Yeah. Oh, that's super cool. I love it.
Yeah. Lots of different projects there.
Well, should we jump into what we're chatting about today? So there's obviously a lot around, graphic design that you'll do, especially running a business, like, kind of full-fledged agency with lots of different things. We're going to be talking about kind of branding for today. So what's your go-to app? Where do you start? Oh, cool. Here we go. Look at you. You're so prepared.
Yeah, prepared.
This is super cool because I was just about to ask you, where do you start? Are you a sketcher, like notebook kind of person? Are you a list type of person? We had someone, Jeremy, on last week who was doing some mind mapping exercises and things like that. So where do you start? You've got this project, maybe you have a name, you have a client. Where do you begin?
I love that mind mapping element too. I think for me, it really depends on what I know about the brand to start with, the kind of existing values and things that they hold. So basically to start with, I'll sit down with a client obviously and just do a big discovery call where I get to know their brand, target market, things like that. And then I start jumping into research. So I'll just look at projects where I feel like I could go create a bit of a mood board, things like that. So if I go over this way, for this project today, it's just like a made up project. I just had a bit of fun with it, decided on the name myself. So I wanted to create this cool coffee brand that was just a modern, unique, really fun, incorporated those cool illustrations again, because I do get a lot of questions about those. So I thought I'd share with you guys how to create them. So I put together this mood board. I loved like this type of typography and logo design where it was really custom and illustrative, and not necessarily just a font, because a lot of the time, I mean, I do it as well. I start off with a font and I'll manipulate it, but it's already an existing font. So I wanted to tackle today in a little bit of a different way, where I actually sketched out my logo and started to draw it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? A different approach, like, because you do find, because the font has been like analyzed over time, like it's a really nice, you know, it's legible, it actually works and everything. So often you can find yourself changing it, and then sometimes you need to walk it back a little bit so that it remains legible, but often it's still based on that original architecture. But if you're doing something from a sketch or something like that, it's a little bit more freeform. It's a little bit more different.
Yeah, and you get that really custom, unique look as well. Like no one in the world is going to have this, unless it's complete coincidence, but I doubt it. So this was something that I actually sketched up prior to this. So you can see a bit of a logo that I wanted to sketch up, just really rough. You know, my lines are a little bit all over the show, and same with these characters. I just roughly drew them. I mean, I wouldn't really consider myself like the best drawer in the world. Cool. But yeah, with this kind of stuff, you can really just sketch it out. It can be rough. It doesn't have to be perfect, because we can perfect it in Illustrator. So this is when I'd bring them into Illustrator and start to outline them. So we go into this wee guy, and I'll just start to outline it using the pen tool, and just creating a really nice, I'll actually make that a color so we can see it. I'll even make it red.
Red, not pink. Shocked.
Oh, I know. Shocked. Shock horror. Should have done it pink.
Gotta keep the brand going. Yeah.
Oh, I know. I'm not even wearing pink today. Normally for these things I wear pink. I think I should have.
What would happen? Could you imagine if in like 5 years you're just like, I'm done with pink. I can't do pink anymore. Might have to redesign. That'd be a nightmare.
I do have a bit of an idea when I mature one day and decide that Pink Pony Creative isn't the right name anymore. I've got a wee idea for my future business name.
Oh,
it's
nice.
Like the evolution of Pink Pony, but it's a secret.
Yeah, I wouldn't ask. I would never have asked that. Got to keep the cards close to your chest until the day is right.
Exactly.
So there was a question. So thanks for the question, Misty. If any of you have a question as well, you can do what Misty did and just let us know in the Behance chat, and we will ask away as we're rolling along. How did you come up with the Pink Pony name? And it says, follow-up question, Flynn, what's your TikTok handle? I don't have TikTok. But yeah, so what? Not yet. I'll wait till it's not cool anymore, and I'll jump on like parents on Facebook. So, Kristy, how did you come up with the Pink Pony name?
The Pink Pony name. Well, it sounds like it could be quite a complex idea, but as a kid, I loved pink. That was just my favorite color. Absolutely loved it. And then I grew up riding horses and loved ponies. So when I decided to start my Instagram, honestly, I just didn't even think too much about it. And I think that was key. And I just thought of Pink Pony one day, and I was like, you know what? It's got a ring to it. Let's just stick with it.
Yeah.
And I just ran with it. And now it's caught on, which is great.
It's always funny. I like those origin stories from handles. Back in my day, it used to be like whatever your Hotmail email address was.
Yes.
And you kind of got stuck with it, and you keep it forever. It's always really funny.
Oh, and those were embarrassing too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure mine was Rockstar Forever.
Rockstar Forever. Oh, I can't remember my sister's. I'd love to put her on blast right now, but I can't remember what it was. But it was something ridiculous.
It's embarrassing. I probably shouldn't have said it. But oh well.
But yeah, so coming back to the work, so pen tools go to for this.
Definitely, and I'm kind of just roughly outlining it, because once I turn off that back layer of the sketch, I can actually sort of start to narrow it down and just refine it a little bit more and make it exactly how I want it to look in the final piece. But I loved this, being a coffee business. I was thinking about coffee, and you can do that sort of mind mapping thing again. Maybe you start to break it down: coffee beans, cups of coffee, takeaway cups of coffee, tea, spillages. So, and I thought this almost looked like liquid coffee or something that had almost been spilt, and I wanted to kind of bring that through. So you can see it's starting to piece together quite nicely if I turn those scans off. And you can go through and refine all the line work. And I love using the smooth tool. It's sort of...
I was just about to ask, so that was the smooth tool that you used. So you actually did the outlines like super quick, a little bit of adjustment here and there, and then remove the background, and you kind of going back through with the smooth tool, which is such an underrated tool. It's so useful.
It is. I think I only found it like last year, but I use it every single day. Yeah, so just really, this is where I'm kind of perfecting it. You know, this kind of logo as well, it's not really going to be all about absolutely perfect sharp edges. It's a little bit more messy and sort of thrown together in a perfect way. Yeah, I know what you mean. You want a little bit of that like imperfectionness of this, because, you know, if you wanted it to be perfect, we probably would have taken the type first approach that we spoke about before. That's the one.
We have another question from Misty, but I can answer this one. Are you in Illustrator or Photoshop? We're in Illustrator at the moment.
We are. For things like logos and illustration work, I always use Illustrator, just because they're going to be vectors in the end, and then it's so easy to transfer those into your marketing collateral, whatever it is, whatever it may be. I want him to be a little bit rounder, this guy, this edge. There we go. So just rounding that off a little bit more.
So trying to avoid, like, if people out there are like a little bit newer to kind of vector artwork and stuff like that, you're really trying to avoid like those really obvious, like, kind of pointy corners or something like that. You'll see it in like really old logos, or maybe someone's a little bit less experienced or something like that. Little kicks at the end.
You can almost see one there.
Yes.
So because this is quite a soft edged logo, you can see this point here it cuts off at one point and sort of is like a sharp edge. So we want to just smooth that out, make it a nice softer curve.
Yeah, my graduate portfolio was full of them.
Oh, weren't they all?
Yeah,
definitely.
I like to think so.
Weren't they all?
And did you study graphic design or communication design?
I did.
Yeah.
I studied graphic design and animation, surprisingly.
Cool.
I'm just going to actually get this guy to kind of curve around the W a little bit more. Yeah, it was a really good degree. Did a bit of animation. I don't do a heck of a lot anymore, but I do use it sometimes in my day-to-day design life, doing like GIFs for Instagram and things like that. It's quite a good skill to have.
I'm sure there's a lot. I'm sure there's a lot there that you like learned, even though, like, I mean, like a lot of those two platforms we're talking about, motion, right? So you probably retained a lot of really valuable information, even subconsciously, of how to storytell in, you know, short formats and you know, how the formatting works and all that sort of stuff. I'm sure it was very useful.
I'm actually liking where this is heading.
This is cool.
Yeah, a little bit funky. And like really unique, you know, like I said earlier, no one's going to have this logo design. We haven't used a font in font books. I'm even thinking we could add like little splashes around the logo to give it a bit of that coffee spill effect. These can easily be moved around too, maybe even like a couple more.
I mean, that Y is here to party. Like that,
he really is.
I've never seen a happy Y before, but that's a happy Y.
That is really a happy Y. All the curves. Oh, he's looking cool. When we start to, you know, change this from an outline to a fill as well, it'll kind of come alive. We'll be able to see that happen in a second, because I will move it into a fill. So if I take this guy, and this is when I want it to be a filled logo, so rather than outline. You can kind of see it coming together, but you know, these wee guys here, we want to knock out the holes using the shape builder tool. We can easily knock those out. This was another tool that I only just learned like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And if you don't know this tool, it'll change your life.
Do you want to just give us a quick little like demo of what you did, just in case people don't know the shape builder tool? Because I agree, it's like super, super cool. And when someone showed me, my jaw dropped on the floor. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been doing Pathfinder for the last 10 years. What is this tool?
I know. It is like next level, especially compared to Pathfinder. So let's just pretend we've got a shape here, and another shape. I'll make them slightly different colors just so we can see them. Shape builder tool. You can knock out objects or add objects or make them one complete object. So in this instance, just say if we wanted to knock out that center shape, you can use it. And we've got that plus sign. If we hold down Option, we bring up the minus, and that'll knock it out for us. So it's really nice because you've got so much more control over, say, than the Pathfinder does. And you can do the same thing where you can select them all. Now it becomes one object. We can go the other way and remove part of the object. So I use that in these B's, the E there and the O, just knock out those shapes. So I could do the same thing in the sense that I could add in an object here by just clicking in the center and then once again removing it from there too.
That's really nice. Cool. Like just how quickly you can do that. If anyone's kind of
So
fiddled
quick.
around with Pathfinder, like when you're creating logos and things like that, you can actually spend a lot of time moving objects to the back and then forward and then remaking all the shapes and trying to add them together in the right order.
Exactly.
But just,
and I think
go on.
Sorry. I was going to say no, that's all right. With the Pathfinder tool, you could spend a while trying to figure out what one cuts out a shape, or maybe you're adding on a shape, but the shape builder tool, you just get so much more control, which is really nice.
Yep.
Let's just add these little spillages. So this is looking pretty cool. I'm even going to pop them into this cool, maybe blue here. Nice electric blue. And then in this instance, if we were going to make a logo, I would always ensure we're doing like a primary logo. So this could be horizontal or vertical. And then the secondary logo is going to be sort of the opposite to that. So as this logo, this could be our primary. It's a horizontal logo. So I'm going to create a stacked version just so that when we're using it on different collateral and in different areas, we can make sure it's going to fit nicely. So let's just duplicate that. Bring this U over.
So can you explain why it's important to have those two different iterations of the same logo? This is quite early in the piece to be thinking about this. Like, you often see like a horizontal logo and then retrofitted to kind of fit in a square, or it's really, really tiny, has a big white box around it. So can you talk just a little bit about that?
Exactly. I'll show you a really good example of this. So it's important with logo design that you want your logos to be responsive. So in the sense where, depending on where you're going to put them, you want them to be optimum. Is that the right word? Or like look optimal? The best that they can. Optimal. That's the word. Look the best that they can in that space. So a really good example of this is, your social media profile photo. This is a great example. So they're always circular wherever they are. TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, they're circular. So if we were to place this logo, let's just group him into a circle. Let's scale him down. He looks great in the circle, but maybe on Instagram where your profile photo is a little bit smaller, he might not be so readable. So we want to try and make him optimal for the space. So this obviously isn't a completed design. The Y there doesn't quite work, so we'll fix him in a minute. But I'm talking about them like him and like their little animals.
I love it. Yeah, I like that. I noticed that. So this little guy over here. I do the same thing, especially like anchor points. And it's like this little guy needs to come over here. Come on, buddy. Like,
let's go.
Yeah.
So if we put him in the circle, and imagine you're on Instagram. If you have these two options as your profile photos, this one is going to draw a lot more attention. We're really sort of saying, hey, here I am, rather than this one, which is a little bit smaller. So having those variations of your logos allows you to put them in spaces that fit right. Once again, like this would be great for a website banner because they're always long and thin, but not so much this. This would be really small up in your web banner. So it's important to make those variations of your logo.
That's really cool. And I love that you're thinking about this like so early in the process. Like you're just like, yep, cool, that looks good, that's about right. Like, you know, it's going to be something like this, the shape's going to look something like this. I'm liking where it's headed. Let's just pump the brakes for a second and see how it looks in this, because I know I'm gonna need it. It needs to work in both instances. So yeah, it's really cool.
Exactly. I mean, you know, if I was designing a logo, I definitely wouldn't be creating it this quick. It would take me a lot longer. And I've actually pre-designed this. I always like to make sure I'm prepared for my lives. I don't want to get it on a live and just freeze. That would be the worst.
Just speaking on logos, we actually have a question as well from Jasleen.
Oh, cool.
How many variations of logos would you make for brand development?
Do they mean concepts, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is an interesting question because originally when I started my business and I was creating brands for clients, I did 3 full concepts. So it was a lot of work. And I think it can differ between designers and what you prefer and what you think you're good at. And then I started to realize that most of my really great designs were actually the first ones I did. And they were the ones that were like chosen 99% of the time. So I sort of thought to myself, why am I spending so much other time on these other concepts? So I decided to do the one concept method. But within that, you know, if I'm creating a one concept, I'm still developing things and creating lots of different sort of half done concepts in that process to make sure I'm getting the right choice for the brand. Hopefully
I could definitely see that. You're like, well, I'm doing 3 times the amount of work, but it's always, you know, 90% of the time it's this. That makes a lot of sense because we talk about efficiencies here a lot. Like time is everything. Time's the most important like resource that you have. So identifying that level in your process and trying to make things a bit more efficient or a lot more efficient is really important.
Yeah, definitely. See, I've just adjusted the white a little bit for him to fit a bit nicer, but he still looks a bit funny. He almost looks like a weird bird. I think the way I describe logos and design is unique.
Weird bird. Maybe it's because you have so many interesting birds in New Zealand. Maybe that's where it comes from.
We've got the kiwi. And then we'll round him off too. Yeah. So he's looking pretty cool. You know, and I would spend time developing this, perfecting it until I felt like it was really on point, fitted for the brand. Yeah, this is looking quite cool. I'm liking the blue too. Very funky.
Yeah, it's nice.
So if we were, let's have a little go. I'll just imagine we're going to throw him in to a profile photo for a social media. Boom. They look really sort of clear, bold, but this would be my primary choice for a social media profile just because it's that much stronger and I think a little bit clearer too.
Yeah. No, it's a good call. It's more professional, right, for the brand rather than kind of using just the same logo across everything. And it's just like, we'll just shrink it until it fits.
Exactly.
Just looks a bit more modern, you know, a bit more, you know, a bit more modern. I'll leave it at that. That made sense.
No, it definitely did. I think it's so interesting too, because when I first started doing a lot of branding, I created like so many logos. You know, I would have like 7 variations. There'd be the primary, the secondary, the brand mark, and then there'd be one after the other. And I think in some cases that can work, but it's also important to remember a lot of your clients probably will have no idea what to do with them all.
Right.
So stripping it back a bit, you know, maybe your clients aren't a massive corporate business and they don't have a designer within their business. And it's kind of up to the owner of the business to create the rest of the design. We don't want to make it too confusing.
Yeah.
Let's just put these guys down here. So we've kind of started to form our primary logo, our secondary logo. It's looking pretty cool, pretty funky. And now I've got these guys where we can start to draw our little characters. So for this kind of brand, I'm imagining I wanted to create like a really cool aesthetic, you know, somewhere a bit young and hip, and that would stand out next to your regular coffee shop down the road as well. So I wanted to create these really funky
I gotta jump in. My favorite is the bottom right, the coffee bean holding up the, I don't know what the word is for that. But
I actually don't know what it's called either.
We'll get your Hannah
I was
onto
looking yeah, I was looking at my coffee machine when I was drawing these for inspo, and I have no idea what it's called.
Yeah. Wouldn't
know. Anyone?
Anyone? Yeah, let us know. Let us know in chat.
Yeah.
Solving the big problems here on Adobe Live with Kristy Campbell.
I know, exactly.
No, but now I'm gonna have to find out. If we don't find out on stream, that's my homework for today.
That's the homework.
Yeah.
We'll all know it after this. All right. And then now we're going to start to draw out these guys. So in most of my branding projects, which I'm quite, I guess, well known for now, I create these brand patterns, which I was showing before, but the brand patterns can also be broken down into individual illustrations, and they could be used on like a social media post or on a poster, or maybe even on anything, even like signage. You know, this guy could then turn into a cool piece of signage in the coffee shop. So it's a really cool way to stand out and be really unique from other coffee shops rather than just having a logo.
What was that little tool you just used then, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure, this is the curve tool.
To create the curve?
Yeah, so basically the curve tool, instead of drawing the curve yourself with the pen tool, you just draw a straight line, and you can actually use the curve tool here to drag and actually make a perfect curve. Oh, scratch my microphone there. So it'll make that perfect shape curve instead of, if I was to do it with the pen tool, it might not be as
you have to go off eye a little bit and then come back and try to fix it up and bring a little bit of maths into it and stuff. That was really cool. Yeah, it's really nice. I like that.
So we're going to start to draw out the coffee cup. So in this instance, you know, they are quite rough sketches, but things like coffee cups, they're quite symmetrical, and you can see a lot of shapes within them. There's always sort of circular shapes within the coffee cup. So I like to start to map it out using spheres and circles on Illustrator. So in this instance, I'm going to create like the little lip of the coffee cup. And let's create another circle at the top here. Just to start to draw out this wee guy. And we're going to map him out a little bit. Actually, I think I've probably gone in a bit too close there. Needs to be a little bit further out. And the thing with this is, as well, you know, like I said before, you don't have to be the best drawer. You can adjust it as you go. You don't have to get it right the first time, which is why I love Illustrator. So you can see me using the curve tool again here for the bottom, for this wee guy.
Nice.
Pull him down. Oh, wow. Made a little mistake there. And let's pull these sunglasses on him.
Okay, we might have some results for our question before. This might be called a tamper.
Oh, okay. I think it is.
And Jess in chat has also said it's called a portafilter. Okay. Oh, tamper might be the thing you push it down with, maybe.
I think you actually could be right there.
There we go.
I feel like I'm a bit of a coffee connoisseur, so I should know that.
I should know that too. Do you make your own coffee at home? Sure
do, actually. Yeah. I bought a really nice machine in lockdown.
Yep, same.
Because I was there all the time, you know. Got to have the good coffee.
Exactly. Yeah. I like how so many people I've spoken to like have their own little like different solution. Like I know people that I've gone like AeroPress, love it. Like it's the best thing in the world. Other people like coffee machines. Other people, I've seen some people like spend a fortune on the coffee machine for their home.
You've got to get you've got to get the really good ones if you want that good coffee.
Yeah.
This is also another tool that I really like. If you guys don't know about it, I'll just go back a bit there. Is called the offset tool. So if you're wanting to offset a path, making it a little bit wider or a little bit smaller, like in this instance, I want to add a double line there just to make it a little bit more detailed on the lid. So I'm going to go up to Object, Path, and Offset Path. and just adding a bit of a maybe 1.5, and adding the minus because we're going to go inside that stroke there. So you can see when I turn the preview on and off, you get that
that's cool.
extra path. Yeah, it's a really cool.
And you can do that on with type, I think, as well, to kind of create that outline around very quickly. So you don't have to like manually do, like if you're looking for that, I don't know, like varsity kind of look, you know, with type where it has that outline around it and then another outline and all that stuff.
Definitely. Cool. So this guy's looking pretty funky.
Yeah.
So if we turn the scan off, you can see him kind of coming together.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use the shape builder tool again, and you can see here I'm going to start to I'll remove, actually I'm going to plus that. So you can see it just knocks out the bottom of the eyes there, just because I want those to be like blacked out sunglasses. Let's add a little shadow too.
And it's just so quick. Like it's just such a quick way to do it. There's no guesswork. It's just going to go, yep, get rid of that, add this here, fill in this part, you know, fill in the background. It's great.
Definitely. I'm going to do it again, actually. Oh,
like it's so good. Going to do it again.
It is. It's like magic. Cool. So he's starting to take form. I thought for these, it would be really cool to have almost like a sketched look instead of that thick, very solid line. So for this type of work, I like to use various brushes. You can buy brushes all over the internet. There's so many everywhere. To be honest, I don't even know where I got my brushes that I'm going to use today, except I can't see them here. I did manually put them in, but they're gone.
That's always fun. Yeah, there's
always a way.
Always a way. Yeah, there's obviously so many brushes. The Carl T. Webster brushes, which
Let's get them up.
Releases new ones every season. I think the next ones are coming along pretty soon as well, which if you have Creative Cloud, it's always included. You just need to add them in.
Yeah.
But there's so many brushes these days.
There's so many. So I'm just going to quickly go through and find my brushes. So I've got these like all saved in a special folder where I can just access them. Cool.
Nice.
So let's give these a go. Ooh. So you can even start to see the sketched look coming up here. I'm going to turn off that scan layer, but it's probably like a bit thick. Could be a little bit too thick here. We'll see. He's quite cool. So you just can kind of like play around with them and see what works best. I quite like these ones. Let's even just do a slightly lighter weight. Yeah, so he's starting to look pretty cute.
That's cool.
I like him. He needs a name.
His
name can be Adobe.
Chat can help us with that. Adobe, I like that. Yeah, let us know if you have a name for our coffee cup here.
Yeah.
I would bonus points for New Zealand themed names.
Ooh, I like
we'll
that.
see what chat comes up with.
All right. And then what I really wanted to do as well, what I thought would be really nice to pair the illustrations with the blocked out logo, because I think it's really important in your branding is to make sure it's really cohesive and you're following sort of the same rule of thumb throughout. Maybe it's your illustrations, your logo, just to give it that really tidy look. So if I was going to do that, so to black out, so what I want to do is basically black out the sunglasses, the shadow there, just to give it that thick, solid color rather than an outline. So I'm actually going to expand the appearance. So instead of lines, they're now vectors. Just going to go through and start to block out the color there. So using the shape builder tool again. This can get a little fidgety, but hey.
And so you've done the outlines after adding the like custom brush stroke, but then where the stroke has kind of finished and is meeting up, you've just kind of cleaned that up a little bit. Because you've got those imperfections, but you might want to remove some anyway.
Exactly, yeah. And you'll notice with the shape builder tool, if something doesn't quite connect up, it's not going to build that shape, because if it's not actually touching, it's not going to recognize it as a solid shape.
Right.
So he's looking pretty cool. I like where he's going.
It's cool. We have some names. Thanks, chat.
Ooh.
Tampa. Yeah, that's good, Jess. I should have thought of that straight away.
Like
yeah,
that.
Tampa was like, yeah, that's a good one. Very quick on that one too. So bonus points for being quick. Jessica T. Hi, Jessica. Good to see you. Kappa. Cool name. Misty said Sippy
like
Cup. Binu from Kate, which I quite like. I read it as like Keanu, like Keanu Reeves, like Bean. Yeah, my brain just like fired on all cylinders for a second there and then calmed down. And Jess has also suggested Kawhi. I don't know. I'm sure I'm not saying that correctly. Kawhe, which is coffee in tea Rio Maori.
Oh, I like it.
I did say bonus points for the
Kiwi
New Zealand
vibe.
love. Yeah, for the Kiwi love.
Very good.
So that's pretty cool.
So he's coming together quite nicely. Oh, look at
That's
him.
very cool. Yeah, he looks great.
Yeah. And him next to the logo, you know, they aesthetically look really nice together, especially the solid color balances out that logo as well.
Right. So a little bit of kind of like balance, because the Brew U is quite thick. And so you're thinking about like maybe balancing that out with a little bit of light illustrations. Yeah, that's nice.
Definitely, yeah. So it can kind of come together really nicely. And I like that illustrative look. You know, if we wanted to as well, we could even add a stroke onto this that was similar to that more illustrative like icons that we're going to create. Maybe if we just even, I don't know what this is going to look like. It's going to be a surprise. So you can kind of get that like style in there a little bit.
Right, yeah.
And once again, it's just making sure, like trying to keep it cohesive. So you can see it a bit more there. I don't love it, but definitely great to try.
Right. A lot of trial and error. And it's quite interesting that like during this process, you've kind of created the logo and then onto the illustrations, but then going through the process of creating these illustrations and other brand assets, it's like, oh, actually, I kind of like that bit here. Maybe that will affect the logo as well. So it's quite interesting. It's not like necessarily a linear approach. I do the logo, I do illustrations, press print, like just the kind of back and forth as you're going through and discovering things during the design process.
And that's something that I think that has worked really well for me as a designer. When I'm creating my brands for clients, I like to do it kind of all at once. You know, I'm kind of going back and forth, like you said, creating the logo, then maybe making a bit of a brand pattern, trying out colors, because I think it's important. I think it's so important that everything looks cohesive together and we're thinking about it as one whole thing rather than just a logo, and then we'll add on things later on.
Yeah.
Let's start to draw another wee guy here.
Another wee guy. We have about 12 minutes left. I don't know why we always end up like saying there's 12 minutes left. I know it's very specific, but that's about how long we have left to hang out, ladies and gentlemen, for today. Let us know if you have any questions in chat while we're lucky enough to be hanging out with Kristy. Throw them in chat while we have time.
Alrighty. Once again, using that.
There's that curve
tool. So good. So good.
Love it.
This guy again, I'm going to use the curve tool and even putting it on a bit of a slant. Drop it down. And you can really use like your shapes like I did just then. Just those same lines, you know, the same, exactly the same curve to create more objects on your illustrative things. I lost my words then too. Anyway,
I find it always happens. It always happens when you're streaming. You do something like 1,000 times, then you'll be streaming, and you're like, "What? Why do I not? Where's that button? Why do I not remember that word?"
Exactly. Oh dear.
I think we're getting some names. I didn't actually ask for them, but I'm loving that you guys are taking the initiative in chat.
I love that.
Frank says, "Love your sketchy style, Kristy." Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh,
cool. I really like that. Illustrator traditionally think of like if we want to do something very, very clean, but it doesn't have to be clean. It can be vector art, but actually have that kind of style that Kristy's created here, which I think is important to remember, to play around with it. And we're getting a few names, I think, for this young coffee cup. Joe Brew.
Joe Brew.
And I like everyone's reiterating on themselves. Joe Brewymore.
Mm.
I like that with the Keanu bean that we had before.
Oh, I love that.
Or getting like celebrity
This is
names.
so good.
Java brew more.
Creative.
So it's just going to keep going down this rabbit hole, isn't it? Java the cup. That's great.
Oh, these are too good.
Good job, Misty.
Someone would say that we are all creative people.
Yes. Yeah. I just like that, like riffing on each one, and it's just getting further and further.
Yeah.
Super great. What's the American ice cream company that does that? It's Ben and Jerry's, doesn't it? So they do like a celebrity name or some sort of pun on a celebrity for like all of their flavors. I've never had it myself.
Yeah. Oh, we could do the same thing for Brew You.
That's it.
Alrighty. So he's looking pretty cool as well.
Very cool.
So I'm going to use the shape builder tool. Now I've actually something I have done, as I said before, is I pre-made all these. So I'm going to show you guys the finished look in a minute, just before we leave today, just to give you an idea of kind of what it would end up looking like.
Cool. We do have 10 minutes left, so we're not in like super rush or anything to get there.
So let's. Oh, whoa! See, that looks quite different. That's the same stroke.
Right.
So, it doesn't look quite right on that one. Whether we see, even that looks a little bit better.
Yeah, that looks a little bit closer, doesn't it? That's interesting. Never know what the effects are going to do.
Exactly.
Talk about like how like illustrators considering these parts are connected and what's a shape and all that sort of stuff. It's quite interesting.
Definitely, yeah. I swear sometimes, you create something and then Illustrator will do something else with it and you're like, whoa. But maybe it could be epic.
Sometimes you get some happy accidents and you're just like, oh, I don't know what button I pressed, but that looks cool.
Definitely.
Got a goofy question from Johanna. Ooh. What's your coffee order? Yeah, what's your coffee? What
is my coffee order? It is a trim flat white.
Trim flat white? What's a trim flat white?
What's a trim flat white?
Yeah. I know what a flat white is. What's the trim mean?
Like low fat? Low fat
right.
Milk?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Actually, that's a New Zealand thing, I'm pretty sure. Just say trim.
Yeah, I haven't heard it before. Trim. That's like I'm keeping trim. Like, so make sure my coffee is trim. It's great.
Okay, so I'm actually gonna add a shadow on this guy too. So I'm starting to create him. One thing that I always do as well, which I think is really important as a designer. So I've outlined this shape here, but I've kept the original line work because I'm not necessarily always, I might find that I want to go back and change something in that original artwork. So when I start to develop my brands, you'll just see copies and copies and copies of everything, just because I want to make sure I can go back, change things if I need, and have that workflow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think is important as a designer.
Yeah, I think that's a great practice to have. You never know. And if you don't do it, that's the time you're going to need it.
Exactly. There's definitely been the odd time if I have forgotten. It's almost like when you forget to save after like 3 hours. And then you're like, oh, I haven't saved my work. All right, so we're going to go in. Yeah, you can start to see him coming together. See? If I select this, you can see that there, I'm trying to create like a solid shape, but it's not selecting. So it means that my shape is somewhere, isn't quite touching, which is right here, I think. So I'm just going to adjust that.
Oh, so there's like a tiny little gap there. And so
it's
interesting. You need to close the loop. So yeah.
That's the one. And luckily, because of the aesthetic of these drawings, they're a little bit more sketched and not perfect. So I can kind of just pull them down a little bit, connect them, and then easily fill them.
Yeah.
So I'd do the same thing for all these guys too. And we're starting to pull together something all within the hour.
Yeah, even with questions and intro and everything all over the top, you've moved very, very, very quick.
Exactly. Well, hopefully not too fast.
No, absolutely not. No, it's been great. So you probably have like quite a lot of like beginner and student people like looking at some of your content, as well as like people like me that have been around forever and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. But like, what are some of the, like, what's like the most common question you get? Like that's not like around doing a specific thing. Is it like, how do I grow my business like you have? Or do you often get, how do I get clients? Like, what's the like really common question you get like across your platforms? Because I'm sure you get a lot.
Yeah, there's definitely a few common questions. One of the most common questions is actually where I did my 100-day design challenge.
Okay,
I get asked
cool.
that a
Tell us
lot.
about that.
And so I actually started my business as a 100-day design challenge, not thinking it would go into a business. But the 100-day design challenge was literally made up. I think people think that it needs to be this structured thing that you download off the internet, but it can be whatever you want, which is the beauty of it. So whether you're a photographer or, an artist, a designer, you can make it anything that you want. And I think it's important to remember to not be closed-minded with those challenges and try and think of your surroundings as your inspiration. So as an example, I created a brand for like this coffee shop that I loved down the road, and I actually called it the name that they had called it, or I made like designs for my local surf shop. Just use inspiration from things that you see, people you know, and just go for it. That's definitely a common question I get.
Yeah.
Get it a lot.
So it's like, well, how do I find that thing and how do I get permission to do it? And you're like, just do it.
Just do it. Just go for it. Have fun. There's no rules. That's the beauty of it. So these guys are looking pretty cool.
Looking great.
Yeah.
I like the line work on the shades as well, just adding a little bit of like cartoony reflection in there. It's cool. It does add a lot.
Bit of a highlight. It actually does add quite a lot because it gives that effective glass, which I think is quite a key important little addition we can do.
We have about 2 to 3 minutes left.
Okay, cool.
So you mentioned that you make, so do you want to kind of, this is the cooking show version of the show, and it's like, oh, here's what I prepared earlier.
Exactly, yeah. So I'd can continue working on this, create all my drawings, decide on a color palette, and then, ta-da.
Cool.
I mean, these are like the finished guys that I've created.
Yes.
And some marketing materials. So you can imagine, we've got our logos, we've got our illustrations, and then I'm turning it into a pattern, which I've done here. So this pattern is actually like a swatch.
Lovely.
It is full of the illustrations, which is really cool. I'll just add in a fill behind that so you can see it. And then going from there, I can start to create marketing collateral. So in this instance, I've just put together these cool posters, the coolest hot coffee around town.
That's nice. I like it.
I'm no tagline creator, but I thought it fitted well. And then, creating a bit of a menu, just thinking up some cool things we could do for the brand. So this could be a passion project that you could create for your 100-day design challenge. Feel free to use the same idea and concept because I came up with it. So go for it.
Go for it. Oh, that's super. It's super cool. And it looks great. Like having those elements and, got the 2 variations of the logos. Do you mind zooming in just on one of the top ones, just so we can see some of the illustrations up close? That's my favorite little guy, as I mentioned.
This guy here, cool. Right?
Like strong, it's awesome. It's really cool, and the badge up the top as well. So like even expanding it out, like or stamp, I suppose. It seems to be kind of how you've used it in the other thing as well, which is really cool. Like pushing the brand as far as you can. And obviously, you could add the different illustrations in there and have different details on and all sorts of stuff like that. It looks really, really cool.
Thank you.
But we are running out of time today, so I want to make sure that we don't get cut off. We're going to be back with Kristy on Thursday. If you're in the US, it might be Wednesday night or something like that. Depends where you are in the world. But thank you so much for joining us and hanging out. And Kristy, thank you so much for everything. This has been super fun, and I cannot wait till Thursday.
No worries. I've absolutely loved it. Hopefully you guys learned something. And I'm looking forward to Thursday.
Well, I'll see you then, and everybody in chat, we'll see you then again. Thanks for hanging out with us. See you later.
Bye, guys.